여러분의 은퇴 레벨은 어디입니까? 지금 이 영상을 보시면서 한번 고민해 볼 필요가 있습니다. 미국 연준의 공식 데이터에 기반한 은퇴부의 6단계 분석이 드디어 공개됐습니다. 순자산 8만 달러의 취약계층부터 1,500만 달러 이상의 엘리트까지 여러분이 평생 모은 돈으로 은퇴 후 어떤 삶을 살게 될지 차가운 현실을 숫자로 보여줍니다. 하지만 절대 좌절하지 마세요. 오늘 영상은 이 계급 사다리를 단숨에 뛰어오르는 단 하나의 핵심 전략과 여러분이 당장 이번 주부터 시작할 수 있는 3단계 업그레이드 전략도 공개합니다.
Level 1 is the vulnerable level. Those are people with 80K net worth and an income of sort of $30,000 to $35,000. What's the income source? It's primarily Social Security. Who are these? These are retirees who live on what I can only describe as financial fragility. Their retirement years are defined by limitation, not by opportunity. Most work their entire lives, often in blue-collar jobs, but they didn't earn enough to save beyond just surviving. Others face divorce, illness, layoffs that decimated their finances, and it puts them into a vulnerable position. You look at their food, nutrition is a challenge. Meals are inexpensive and filling, but not balanced. There's lots of processed foods, canned foods, discount store staples, right? And I'm starting with this to actually inspire you not to be there. We then have level 2, which they call stable, and they have a net worth of $250,000. Median income here is about $50,000 income. What are those income sources? Social Security, a modest pension, or some retirement. Now, these are people who had stable jobs, often factory jobs, tradesmen, admin jobs. So they might have some sort of pension, they might have some retirement savings, but not really enough. So these guys live actually quite a different level already because they have some breathing room, right? They're not just covering essential expenses, they have a little cushion. How do we move up? Because that's really what we want to focus on here today. How do we move from level 2 to level 3, where life gets a lot better? Well, it's understanding the difference between being paper rich and retirement rich. And many people at this level have most of their net worth tied up in their home. Now, that's great for stability, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't generate any income. To move up, you need to shift more assets into income-producing investments. So the problem is a lot of people at these levels have all of their money in here, and you need to get some of that money or some additional money, and you need to move it into things like stocks that actually generate money. Because this thing here usually needs money to survive. This thing here actually generates money. That's a big difference. You have level 3. This is the comfy middle class. At the very least, you want to be at level 3. Now, what do you need for that in terms of numbers? Well, the median net worth in this sector is about $550,000. That's wealth, right? Now, income here is about $60,000 to $75,000. Obviously, again, in different parts of the country, that's going to go further. Where does that money come from? Yeah, it still comes from Social Security, but it also comes from retirement accounts, if I could spell retirement account. There might also be some sort of pension. Not a massive one, but some sort of pension. These are people who planned. They were often teachers, civil servants, small business employees, or corporate staff. They often have degree-level education, not that particularly matters. They eat better food. They probably cook at home. They splurge on dining out every once in a while. They are maybe a vacation once or twice a year. You know, think national parks, family reunions, the occasional cruise. And they actually leave a legacy. How do we move from 3 up to 4, where the sun shines a lot more? Well, you need to do a shift here. And the shift is very simple, actually. It is a shift from saving, which is what a lot of us have been taught, to investing. I always say savers are poor, and they end up poor. Because saving means putting money in the bank and getting some interest, but inflation is inevitably higher than the interest you're going to get. So the problem with a lot of these level 3 chaps is that they have too much cash. So if you want to move from 3 to 4, you need to get the right mix of the kind of stocks you want to have, the kind of bonds you want to have, the kind of commodities you want to have that fit your age and risk tolerance. And that is how, statistically, by all the studies, people get to level 4, which is the upper middle class. They have a net worth of 1.1 to 1.5 million. It gives you an income of about $90,000 to $120,000. And where does that come from? Yeah, there's still Social Security, but there are added things like IRAs. There might be dividends. There might be rental income. Most of the people in this group, and this is again statistics, it's not me making this up, it's engineers, business managers, realtors, dual income professionals. A lot of these people are college educated. That's actually not the reason they got there, but it just gives you a little bit of an idea that they think a bit further ahead because they value education. They might be in a golf club, they might travel, they enjoy hosting others, they can have friends over, they can pay for those kind of things. They have frequent vacations, they travel internationally. They're also going to leave a legacy. They might have a financial advisor, and they have an attorney to set up maybe trusts, optimize tax strategies, ensure there's wealth transfer to the next generation. At level 4, the big thing for me here is that money is no longer equated with stress. You're not asking, can I afford this before every purchase? You're actually asking, do I want this? Does this align with my values, what I want? And that's a huge psychological shift, and it's huge for retirement happiness. But there is better. We can move from 4 to 5. The affluent. What does it take to be affluent? It takes a 3 million plus net worth, and they have an income of $150,000 plus. Now, where does that come from? Dividends, possibly business interests. It is rentals and possibly annuities. They often had fairly good jobs, obviously. They were possibly successful business owners, or they had high-paying careers, some doctors, lawyers, executives, they get paid quite well. And what do? Well, they saved well. They often continue mentoring others because they have some knowledge and they understand that the skill is something valuable. They travel with family, with friends, frequent vacations, think luxury resorts, private tours, international travel, all that kind of stuff. They're really thinking a lot about this. Legacy, trusts, private foundations, donor-advised funds, philanthropy is part of their life. And the real thing for me, the real value out of all of this money is this: time freedom. Time freedom gives you the opportunity to do something that gives you a purpose. You don't worry about healthcare costs, inflation, or running out of money. That's simply just not a concern for these people. And then we have level 6, which is the elite. And those guys have a net worth of 15 million plus. Well, to get from 5 to 6, it's less about education. And it's more about doing something quite exceptional in life. And that could be strategic investing. So just being good at investing, because that over a long period of time will take you to level 6. Now, they also typically have a lot of advisors. So they talk to people who are smart, who've done it, who've been there before. They're not trying to reinvent the wheel at every level of their life.
레벨 6이라고 하는 엘리트의 삶은 사실상 우리에게는 꿈의 영역일 수 있습니다. 하지만 포기하라는 말이 아닙니다. 이 모든 분석의 궁극적인 메시지는 단 하나, 바로 투자는 선택이 아닌 필수라는 것. 인플레이션의 무서운 속도를 이길 수 있는 유일한 무기, 그것이 바로 투자입니다. 그러니 현실적인 목표인 레벨 4나 5를 향해 지금 당장 무기를 들고 실행해야 합니다.
Well, the one thing that is required if you want to reach that level is you must invest. That's the heart of it, because the investments will go up if you do it right more than inflation, and therefore you'll be wealthy over time. Step 1 is, what is your actual true retirement net worth? You want to calculate your total net worth. So that's your assets, so what you own, minus what you owe, right? Your liabilities. But you want to exclude your home. And you want to exclude your cars. Why? Your home and your car don't generate any income in retirement. In fact, yeah, they are assets, but they don't pay your bills. In fact, you have to pay their bills. So your net worth should include bank accounts, brokerage accounts, retirement accounts, think 401ks, IRAs, rental properties if they generate income, any business interests you have if they generate income. And this is your real retirement wealth. And it's what determines your retirement lifestyle. Once you have this number, compare it to the levels we've discussed. Where do you actually stand? And that might be a wake-up call that's pleasant or unpleasant. That's good. And then step 2, you want to identify your one lever. If you're level 1 or 2, it's going to be expense tracking and increasing that income, because every dollar really, really does count. And you may have to delay your retirement a little bit just to catch up. If you're level 2 and 3, move money into income-producing investments. You may want to consider downsizing to free up some of that capital. You want to maximize your retirement account contributions if you're still working. And then if you're level 3 or 4, it's more about asset allocation. You can't be too conservative, but you do want to focus on tax efficiency. You might want to get yourself a financial advisor who's smart. Pay them by the hour. No, don't pay them a commission, will be my advice to you. And if you're at 4 or 5, think about things like real estate investment. Advanced tax strategies become more critical for you. And then step 3, take one action step now, today. This is week 1. Don't just watch this video and do nothing, take one step, right? So you could open or you could max out your IRA, you could schedule a meeting with an advisor, you could rebalance your portfolio, you could set up automatic contributions to your retirement accounts, you could take education action.
오늘 미국 연준의 데이터를 기반한 은퇴부의 6단계 지도를 자세히 살펴보았습니다. 순자산 8만 달러의 취약계층의 현실부터 순자산 300만 달러 이상의 부유층이 누리는 시간의 자유까지 그 격차를 명확히 확인하셨습니다. 가장 중요한 교훈을 다시 한번 강조드립니다. 현금에 안주하는 것은 인플레이션에 패배하는 길이며 소득 창출 자산에 대한 투자만이 이 부의 사다리를 오를 수 있는 유일한 레버입니다. 이 영상이 여러분의 은퇴 전략을 새롭게 재정립하는 데 도움이 되었다면 주저하지 마시고 구독과 좋아요 부탁드립니다. 다음에 더 중요한 내용을 담아 영상으로 찾아뵙겠습니다.